Alright, so this is going to be the third and final time I attempt to put Medea up as a video. I'm about to give up on her, because I have done this video a ridiculous amount of times, and it keeps having uploading fails and things of that nature. I think they just don't want Medea. She doesn't want to be on the internet, apparently. I'm going to try to review Medea's Euripides the final time. I'm not doing this again. If you haven't watched any of my videos yet, go to the first video that says, watch me, watch this, and watch that first, so that this all makes sense. But so, we read Seneca and Euripides-Medea, and Medea. A lot of people preferred the Seneca version. I prefer the Euripides. The Seneca wasn't bad, but I think the Euripides had a more modern feel to it, thanks to the translator, I assume. They talk about divorce. Probably not happening back in Euripides' day. Jason calls Medea a vile bitch. Things like that. Just reading through it, you think to yourself, hold on, when was this supposedly written? Jumping right in, spoiler alert, the introduction. Lumberry always has us read the introduction. And I'll never do it again, because this introduction was absolutely horrible. It gave the entire story away. Entire story. It told you about Jason's future, it tells you about his past, which is cool. I like learning about the past, but what happens after this story, it tells you what happens to Medea after this story, and the whole time throughout the story, if I didn't read the introduction, I didn't know about it, I would hope and pray that Jason gets murdered, but he doesn't. So, reading the introduction is kind of like how Lumberry sits in class and tries to tell you about a book that you're about to read, but gives away way too much information, and then you're angry because he gave the entire story away. That was the introduction, so I will never read it again. I will never read anything that Lumberry assigns to the introduction. I'll read the book or the play, but I'm not reading the introduction anymore. It's just not happening. Okay, to jump right in, I did write, I know a lot of people enjoyed Seneca because Seneca got more into details, a little more gruesome, things of that nature, and I actually wrote in here, I wish we heard / saw more of the children's deaths. And I still agree with that up until the day we watched Lars von Trier's Medea in class. I never want to see the children die again. I never want to hear about the children dying again. That I was actually going to do a separate video for, but I guess I will add it to this one, so count this one as 2 videos if you will, please. Lars von Trier. It was an intense video. Instead, if you haven't seen it, which I assume you probably have, but instead of Medea killing her children, the oldest child actually helps kill the youngest one faster, creates his own noose, and has his mother lift him up to put his head in the noose, and practically kills himself. And we've had debate over why we think Lars von Trier did this and decided on it, but I'm convinced it's just to appeal more to that Aristotelian side of pity, because, okay, if I give you the scenario, there's a guy walking down the street, and he is shot and murdered. That is the saddest thing in the world. It's so sad. It's tragic. But if I tell you about the same kid who was bullied in school or had a really rough life and didn't think they could go on any longer and killed themselves, took their own lives, it was out of their hands. In their hands, not out of their hands. The murder would be out of their hands. It was in their hands and they decided that life wasn't worth living anymore. That is even more tragic, if at all possible. That is the epitome of tragedy. That is the saddest thing you can come up with. And I think that Lars von Trier was trying to appeal to that and add more pity to the aspect. Was it a great film? Yes. Would it win a ton of awards at film festivals? Probably. Would it work in Hollywood? Probably not. I think it would get worse reviews than the one with Mel Gibson, Passion of the Christ, whatever that was, when all that went down. Would I ever watch it again? Probably not. I have no intention of watching those children hang themselves again. But moving on. Medea. Ending a little weird. Another part that Aristotle would probably not be okay with. When Medea's grandfather, great-grandfather, Helios, sends the carriage for her to just disappear with the children's bodies. Little crazy. Overall, I mean, a lot of people talk smack about Medea, and if I were going to add a song to this for her, maybe Crazy Bitch by Buck Cherry, but it doesn't really go with her, except for the Crazy Bitch part. Let it be a lesson. I think it's really weird that you see a lot of these tragedies like this written in this time period because from what's been explained to me in like my drama class, a lot of people, when they went to see these, it was all men who went to see these plays. All men. So I think it's interesting that it's like, let it be a lesson to you. Don't mess with your wife, because shit will go down. Would I read this again? Probably not. Would I recommend this to a friend? Probably not. Would I recommend this to a baby daddy who wants to cheat on his wife or his girlfriend? Absolutely. I think it would be interesting to see other versions of a film in this. Sorry, you guys can't even see this, and I've been holding it up the entire time. I think it would be even more interesting to see this in other film adaptations, to see where people go with it. I think it could go a lot of ways. If I were to Goodreads rate this, I would probably give it a 3, maybe a 3.5. It's a good story. It holds your attention. I didn't get tired. I read it in one sitting. I didn't even, normally in class we split it up between 2 different days, or, you know, for Tuesdays and Thursdays, but I read it in one sitting, so it kept my attention. So it was a good book. I'm interested to see what else we read from Euripides, because I assume the rest of the class were probably jumping between Euripides and Seneca, and so far, Euripides is my man. But overall, yeah, not bad. I'd recommend it. But if you're into drama,